those things and feeling the pride that I have within them and the confidence that I've helped to establish within them, I'll know that I've done my job in helping create a better future for them.
I'm Marion Tomlin. I'm a local mom who writes historical fiction for children. I try to create a connection between the reader and his or her community. I have found that telling a little bit of a mystery with our history is compelling. It's irresistible, actually, and it's fun to have the children say they didn't like history until they read my books. And now they not only enjoy visiting the settings they read about, but they'll bring their grandparents, they'll bring their parents, and then they listen to their stories. I spend a lot of time in the classroom grateful for the opportunities that the teachers in Volusia County Schools give me to come in and discuss writing, not only the joys but the frustration. It took me 9 years to create my latest project, and when I have the children count on their fingers back to how old they were 9 years ago, it's a revelation that someone would identify a goal and they would pursue it through all the challenges and all the frustrations. Al Capone had been an actual visitor to the Orman Hotel back in its heyday. And local legend has it that a briefcase he had brought with him that was filled with cash to purchase property during the Florida land boom went missing. And I have a very important part of the mystery play out in this building right here. Volusia County Schools help prepare me for what I'm doing today by helping me discover strengths, interests, introducing me to interests I didn't know I had through the music programs, through the field trips we took, through the guest speakers that were brought into the classroom. It was a very vibrant, it was a very, and yet very focused experience for me. I loved my time in Volusia County Schools.
It's perfect here. I mean, it's family atmosphere, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love the kids, they love me. Just love being at school. You good? Yeah. Blessed to have that honor. I mean, thanks.
Hi, my name is Eric Nason, Sports Medicine Outreach Coordinator for Advent Health. I am so excited about our historic 5-year, $2 million partnership with Volusia County Schools. We are proud to serve as the official healthcare champion of Volusia County Schools as we focus on advancing opportunities through the health academies, decreasing chronic absenteeism, and supporting athlete health and safety within our high school sports programs. Did you know that the knee is the largest joint in the body and one of the most easily injured? It is made up of 4 main components: bones, cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. Each of these structures play a very important role in the stabilization and function of the knee, any of which can be injured. The most common knee injuries include fractures, meniscus tears, sprains and tears of ligaments like your ACL. In many cases, injuries involve more than one structure in the knee. Pain and swelling are the most common signs of a knee injury. In addition, your knee may also catch or lock. Most of the time, knee injuries cause instability, the feeling that your knee is giving way. Well, knee injuries can occur from direct trauma, such as in football, or a plant and twist type motion typically found in soccer, or simply the repetitive wear and tear on the joints, such as in running. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, don't delay in having your knee examined by your school's athletic trainer. Most cases can be managed with rest, inflammation control, and rehabilitation. With more severe injuries of the knee, you will need to see an Advent Health orthopedic physician for a more in-depth evaluation, including x-rays and possibly an MRI. For more information about the partnership between Advent Health and Volusia County Schools, please visit the Volusia County Schools webpage.
trying to get blankets for the homeless because I don't want them to freeze.
We asked what he wanted for Christmas, and he came out with only one item on the list, that was to collect blankets to donate for the homeless. It went viral. He's donated, I think it was around 20 some blankets, and then up in Ohio, 25 up there, and we're in the process of collecting more down here.
I asked him what he did over the holiday break. He said, oh, I went to Ohio. And I said, did you do anything else, anything, you know, above and beyond that for the holidays? And he's a really humble child, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and he said, not really. And I said, can you tell me about the blankets? And you could see a smile go across his face. And, you know, so the administration team started talking to him about his goals, and at that time he wanted to raise several hundred blankets, and we asked if we could help, and he said yes.
If they could donate at least just one blanket, that would be a big help.
We're very proud of Liam here at the school. We're proud of his efforts. We support him 100%, and we are going to help him reach his goal.
I feel that I create a very different environment. My classroom is full of music and movements, and that's important to me because as a learner, I had a hard time staying engaged until I was in a classroom like that. So for me as a teacher, I try not to disseminate information, but be a facilitator as the students are learning and growing together and collaborating through their experiences.
Josie is helping them succeed every day. She is, every lesson that she does, she's wrapping it back to real life so that they can use it in the future. It's not just something that they'll use this year, they'll use it next.
When you walk in the classroom, you just get that rush of adrenaline, like you're excited to be here, you want to learn. She's done so much for me, and I am so thankful for that.
More than rigorous education or standardized assessments, I want them to know that they are loved and cared about. And if they walk away knowing those things and feeling the pride that I have within them and the confidence that I've helped to establish within them, I'll know that I've done my job in helping create a better future for them.
I'm Marion Tomlin. I'm a local mom who writes historical fiction for children. I try to create a connection between the reader and his or her community. I have found that telling a little bit of a mystery with our history is compelling. It's irresistible, actually, and it's fun to have the children say they didn't like history until they read my books. And now they not only enjoy visiting the settings they read about, but they'll bring their grandparents, they'll bring their parents, and then they listen to their stories. I spend a lot of time in the classroom grateful for the opportunities that the teachers in Volusia County Schools give me to come in and discuss writing, not only the joys but the frustration. It took me 9 years to create my latest project, and when I have the children count on their fingers back to how old they were 9 years ago, it's a revelation that someone would identify a goal and they would pursue it through all the challenges and all the frustrations. Al Capone had been an actual visitor to the Ormond Hotel back in its heyday. And local legend has it that a briefcase he had brought with him that was filled with cash to purchase property during the Florida land boom went missing. And I have a very important part of the mystery play out in this building right here. Volusia County Schools help prepare me for what I'm doing today by helping me discover strengths, interests, introducing me to interests I didn't know I had through the music programs, through the field trips we took, through the guest speakers that were brought into the classroom. It was a very vibrant, it was a very, and yet very focused experience for me. I loved my time in Volusia County Schools.
It's perfect here. I mean, it's family atmosphere, and I wouldn't change it for the world. love the kids, they love me. Just love being at school. You good? Blessed to have that honor. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Eric Nason, Sports Medicine Outreach Coordinator for Advent Health. I am so excited about our historic 5-year, $2 million partnership with Volusia County Schools. We are proud to serve as the official healthcare champion of Volusia County Schools as we focus on advancing opportunities through the health academies, decreasing chronic absenteeism, and supporting athlete health and safety within our high school sports programs. Did you know that the knee is the largest joint in the body and one of the most easily injured? It is made up of 4 main components: bones, cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. Each of these structures play a very important role in the stabilization and function of the knee, any of which can be injured. The most common knee injuries include fractures, meniscus tears, sprains and tears of ligaments like your ACL. In many cases, injuries involve more than one structure in the knee. Pain and swelling are the most common signs of a knee injury. In addition, your knee may also catch or lock. Most of the time, knee injuries cause instability, the feeling that your knee is giving way. Well, knee injuries can occur from direct trauma, such as in football, or a plant and twist type motion typically found in soccer, or simply the repetitive wear and tear on the joint, such as in running. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, don't delay in having your knee examined by your school's athletic trainer. Most cases can be managed with rest, inflammation control, and rehabilitation. With more severe injuries of the knee, you will need to see an Advent Health orthopedic physician for a more in-depth evaluation, including x-rays and possibly an MRI. For more information about the partnership between Advent Health and Volusia County Schools, please visit the Volusia County Schools webpage.
I'm trying to get blankets for the homeless because I don't want them to freeze.
We asked what he wanted for Christmas, and he came out with only one item on the list, that was to collect blankets to donate for the homeless. It went viral. He's donated, I think it was around 20 some blankets, and then up in Ohio, 25 up there, and we're in the process of collecting more down here.
I asked him what he did over the holiday break. He said, oh, I went to Ohio. And I said, did you do anything else, anything, you know, above and beyond that for the holidays? And he's a really humble child, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and he said, not really. And I said, can you tell me about the blankets? And you could see a smile go across his face. And, you know, so the administration team started talking to him about his goals, and at that time he wanted to raise several hundred blankets, and we asked if we could help, and he said yes.
If they could donate at least just one blanket, that would be a big help.
We're very proud of Liam here at the school. We're proud of his efforts. We support him 100%, and we are going to help him reach his goal.
I feel that I create a very different environment. My classroom is full of music and movements, and that's important to me because as a learner, I had a hard time staying engaged until I was in a classroom like that. So for me as a teacher, I try not to disseminate information, but be a facilitator as the students are learning and growing together and collaborating through their experiences.
Josie is helping them succeed every day. She is, every lesson that she does, she's wrapping it back to real life so that they can use it in the future. It's not just something that they'll use this year, they'll use it next.
When you walk in the classroom, you just get that rush of adrenaline, like you're excited to be here, you want to learn. She's done so much for me, and I am so thankful for that.
More than rigorous education or standardized assessments, I want them to know that they're loved and cared about. And if they walk away knowing those things and feeling the pride that I have within them and the confidence that I've helped to establish within them, I'll know that I've done my job in helping creating a better future for them.
I'm Marion Tomlin. I'm a local mom who writes historical fiction for children. I try to create a connection between the reader and his or her community. I have found that telling a little bit of a mystery with our history is compelling. It's irresistible, actually, and it's fun to have the children say they didn't like history until they read my books. And now they not only enjoy visiting the settings they read about, but they'll bring their grandparents, they'll bring their parents, and then they listen to their stories. I spend a lot of time in the classroom grateful for the opportunities that the teachers in Volusia County Schools give me to come in and discuss writing, not only the joys but the frustration. It took me 9 years to create my latest project, and when I have the children count on their fingers back to how old they were 9 years ago, it's a revelation that someone would identify a goal and they would pursue it through all the challenges and all the frustrations. Al Capone had been an actual visitor to the Ormond Hotel back in its heyday. And local legend has it that a briefcase he had brought with him that was filled with cash to purchase property during the Florida land boom went missing. And I have a very important part of the mystery play out in this building right here. Volusia County Schools help prepare me for what I'm doing today by helping me discover strengths, interests, introducing me to interests I didn't know I had through the music programs, through the field trips we took, through the guest speakers that were brought into the classroom. It was a very vibrant, it was a very, and yet very focused experience for me. I loved my time in Volusia County Schools.
It's perfect here. I mean, it's family atmosphere, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love the kids, they love me. Just love being there to me. You good? Yeah. Blessed to have that honor. I mean, thanks.
Hi, my name is Eric Nason, Sports Medicine Outreach Coordinator for Advent Health. I am so excited about our historic 5-year, $2 million partnership with Volusia County Schools. We are proud to serve as the official healthcare champion of Volusia County Schools as we focus on advancing opportunities through the health academies, decreasing chronic absenteeism, and supporting athlete health and safety within our high school sports programs. Did you know that the knee is the largest joint in the body and one of the most easily injured? It is made up of 4 main components: bones, cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. Each of these structures play a very important role in the stabilization and function of the knee, any of which can be injured. The most common knee injuries include fractures, meniscus tears, sprains and tears of ligaments like your ACL. In many cases, injuries involve more than one structure in the knee. Pain and swelling are the most common signs of a knee injury. In addition, your knee may also catch or lock. Most of the time, knee injuries cause instability, the feeling that your knee is giving way. Well, knee injuries can occur from direct trauma, such as in football, or a plant and twist type motion typically found in soccer, or simply the repetitive wear and tear on the joints, such as in running. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, don't delay in having your knee examined by your school's athletic trainer. Most cases can be managed with rest, inflammation control, and rehabilitation. With more severe injuries of the knee, you will need to see an Advent Health orthopedic physician for a more in-depth evaluation, including x-rays and possibly an MRI. For more information about the partnership between Advent Health and Volusia County Schools, please visit the Volusia County Schools webpage.
I'm trying to get blankets for the homeless because I don't want them to freeze.
We asked what he wanted for Christmas, and he came out with only one item on the list, that was to collect blankets to donate for the homeless. It went viral. He's donated, I think it was around 20 some blankets, and then up in Ohio, 25 up there, and we're in the process of collecting more down here.
I asked him what he did over the holiday break. He said, oh, I went to Ohio. And I said, did you do anything else, anything, you know, above and beyond that for the holidays? And he's a really humble child, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and he said, not really. And I said, can you tell me about the blankets? And you could see a smile go across his face. And, you know, so the administration team started talking to him about his goals, and at that time he wanted to raise several hundred blankets, and we asked if we could help, and he said yes.
If they could donate at least just one blanket, that would be a big help.
We're very proud of Liam here at the school. We're proud of his efforts. We support him 100%, and we are going to help him reach his goal.
You know there's a mental part of this.
That might be nice. Yeah. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Can I remember my password?
That's half the battle.
That it is. Yes. Yes.
Good afternoon. We call the February 25th meeting to order. Will we please stand for the singing of our national anthem by our student, Mrs. Taylor Ford from Mainland High School, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Yeah. Nice.
We want to welcome our audience as well as our audience online for joining us today. I'd like to introduce my dais, Mr. Carl Persis at my left, Mr. Carl Persis representing District 4.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Ruben Colon representing District 5. Our school board attorney, Mr. Ted Doran. To my far right, we have Mrs. Erin Lieben, our agency clerk. We have Mrs. Jamie Haynes representing District 1. Our vice chairman, Mrs. Linda Cuthbert representing District 3. Our superintendent, Dr. Scott Fritz, and I'm Ida Wright representing District 2. Our vision statement, ensuring all students receive a superior 21st century education. And today, rather than having comments from my colleagues, we have a very special young man that will show off his talent based on the education he's receiving from Volusia County Public Schools. I'll turn it over to Mr. Colon so he can introduce our guests.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Today is a really exciting day, and I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. Elijah S. Whitaker to please come to the dais up to the front here, please. And I will tell you a little bit about Mr. Whitaker. He is a 6th grade student at Deltona Middle School. His favorite subject is language arts. His favorite teacher is Miss Sierra at Forest Lake. She was nice and always roared at us.
We roared him.
Oh, okay. And when he grows up, he wants to be an artist. And today you're in for a treat. If you've never heard him before, he is going to recite the I Have a Dream speech, which he's been reciting since first grade. So, Mr. Whitaker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elijah Whitaker. I am 12 years old, and I go to Deltona Middle School, and I attend Divine Remnant of Truth. And today I will be reciting the I Have a Dream speech. I am not unmindful that some of you have come here out of great trials and tribulations. I say to you today, my friends, in spite of all the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men will be created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day down in Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will one day be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will someday live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places shall be made plain, and the crooked places shall be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall witness it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day when all God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to become a great nation, this must become true. And so, let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to become a great nation, this must become true. And when this happens, when we let freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village to every hamlet, from every state to every city, we will be able to speed up the day when all God's children, black men, white men, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Wasn't that a treat?
Yeah, that was a treat.
That's definitely a way to start a meeting. I mean, I See lots of wet eyes in the room. And again, thank you, Mr. Whitaker, for coming. And I look forward to having you again next year, because we all need to be reminded of those words of the Dr. Martin Luther King. So thank you again.
And thank you, Mr. Colon, for recommending Mr. Whitaker. Each month, each board member will highlight a student in his or her district. And this month, for African American History Month, Mr. Colon wanted Mr. Whitaker to come and recite that wonderful speech by Dr. Martin Luther King. Very appropriate. And again, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you. Colleagues, would any of you like to say anything before moving forward?
Can't top that.
Okay, so we'll leave that alone then. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 1.03, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of January 14th and January 27th.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. Moving on to agenda item 2.01, agenda changes. Superintendent Fritz, did anyone request any agenda changes?
Yes, Madam Chair. Tonight we'd like to move item 4.03 up to take the place before 4.01. The student presenting the resolution has another engagement this evening. We'd like to move that for their convenience.
Thank you. Any other requests, colleagues? Hearing none. Approval of the agenda with the said changes. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it and the motion is carried. Moving down to 3.01, recognition of career and technical education. Dr. Fritz.
I'd like to ask Ms. Rachel Rutledge, Coordinator for Career Technical Education, and Ms. Amy McAllister, Specialist for Industry Certification, to come forward.
Good evening, Chairman Wright, members of the board, Superintendent Fritz. We thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight to honor some of our CTE teachers for their accomplishments. I'd like to turn it over to Amy McAllister, Industry Certification Specialist.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairman, Dr. Fritz, school board members, and guests with us. We thank you for this opportunity to present before the board for the recognition of our teachers this evening. During CTE Month, our department has worked to share the success of our students, our career and technical education programs, our career and technical student organizations, and we kicked off this month by recognizing our CTE Teachers of the Year across our campuses, and several of you have been able to participate in that with us. And it's our last week of CTE Month, and so to finish the week, we also wanted to do some additional teacher recognitions, but of a different kind. Our industry certifications play a large role in the opportunities available to Volusia County CTE students when they leave our programs and graduate out into the careers. We want to thank the teachers that are here with us tonight, because these students are able to enter those careers ahead of their competition. The 23 teachers being recognized have successfully prepared their students for success on those industry certification exams. As I work with teachers on the industry certification process throughout the school year, I'm able to see how much time and effort they spend outside of the classroom preparing students to be successful on these exams. The teachers we're recognizing have shown a tremendous passion for the industry certifications, and it's evident by their students' achievement. In 2019, Volusia County graduated 65 students that were eligible for the Cape Bright Future Scholarship, and that awards up to a BS degree level of education. That accomplishment is possible because of the dedication of our teachers. The teachers with us this evening have students showing remarkable success, and their classes are performing at a success rate well above average. So as we call your name, please come forward to receive your certificate and remain up front until all names have been called, and then we'll do a group photo. After the group photos taken, we'll do individual school photos with administrators. Unfortunately, there are several teachers that are unable to join us this evening because of prior commitments. We would still like to call their name for recognition, and if there's another representative from their campus here, we'd like for you to come up and participate on their behalf. From Atlantic High School, we have Richard Bowerson, Creekside Middle School, Melissa C., DeLand High School, Roger Bismore, DeLand High School, Vicki Perry, DeLand High School, Jim Lowenstein, DeLand High School, Sandra Ryder, DeLand Middle School, Carrie Owen, Deltona High School, Samantha McElhaney, Deltona High School, Brandy Meadows, Deltona High School, John Scott, Heritage Middle School, Jennifer Bennett, Ivy Hahn, Angela Morris, Mainland High School, Jeffrey Bishop, New Smyrna Beach High School, Kathleen Rich Zoyce, New Smyrna Beach High School, Shirley White, Pine Ridge High School, Christina Fernandez, Seabreeze High School, Gwendolyn Coy, Silver Sands Middle School, Guy Stevenson, Silver Sands Middle School, Amanda Ellis, Taylor Middle High, Kyle Hearn, University High School, Jackie Ficco, University High School, Michael Tomlinson, and University High School, David Manning. Thank you, teachers, very much for your success this year. Madam Chairman, did we want to do a group photo with the board members as well outside?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Whitaker, can you join us on the stairwell first, and then we'll take pictures with all of our outstanding teachers.
If our administrators can also join us for photos, that would be lovely.
Eric, I switched door 3 on my script first. I'm pulling that one first.
Good on coffee and water. You need anything? Good?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much for asking.
behind you. Because Greg was going to shut the door, and I'm like, we don't have Reuben.
He's like the bad brother.
No, it was fine.
Thank you, guests. Now we will reconvene our meeting. Moving on to items 4.03, Resolution 2020-12, recognition of the month of the theater and our schools. Dr. Fritz?
I'd like to ask Mr. John Dupuy to come forward.
All right, good evening, Ms. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Fritz. It is certainly my distinct pleasure to present to you today. Gerald Ford said, "Music education opens doors that help children pass from school into the world around them, a world of work, culture, intellectual activity, and human involvement. The future of our nation depends on providing our children with a complete education that includes music." We are blessed to announce that every public school in Volusia County has a music program, including 2 charters. I know that all of you are big supporters of the performing arts programs and what incredible impact they have on student achievement. Our school features performances throughout the school year. Not a week goes by that schools are not involved in rehearsals, performances, and community involvement. I hope you've had the opportunity this year to review performances by marching bands, concert bands, jazz bands, and orchestras, theater plays and musicals, dance competitions and recitals, elementary music performances and showcases, and solo and ensemble assessment for band and chorus. In addition, we've had the opportunity to present all county showcase concerts for chorus, band, elementary music, and our Volusia County Dance Performance Assessment, featuring all 15 of our dance programs. In March, we will also feature our all-county orchestra on March 26th at DeLand High School, and our all-county jazz bands on March 27th at DeLand High School. Coming up, we also have band MPA and chorus MPA. MPA stands for Music Performance Assessment. So it's their version of the FSA for their programs, and so that's coming up next week, first week of March. This year, some accolades that our schools have been blessed with are the DeLand High School Theater has a one-act show that would be presented at the state level at the State Thespian Festival. The New Smyrna Beach High School Dance Program won all their divisions of their regional competition. The Spruce Creek High School Jazz Band was invited for the 3rd time in a row to perform at the acclaimed Savannah Jazz Festival. The River Springs Middle School Chorus and their Teacher of the Year, Miss Brackney, performed God Bless America at the Daytona 500. This was the first time in history this coveted opening spot has been offered to a middle school. The Seabreeze High School Chorus and Pine Ridge High School Chorus will perform by invitation at Carnegie Hall in New York. And the Spruce Creek Papillon Dance Ensemble will be performing at the New York Broadway Dance Center, participating with the Rockettes. This is just a sample of many of the accomplishments of our performing arts programs in our schools. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize the month of March as Theater in our Schools Month. When we think of performing arts, we think of music, dance, and theater. This is our resolution. It's currently unsigned, but we'll pass it around. When we think of performing arts, we think of music, dance, and theater. These areas allow students to be creative, express themselves, offer critique on their own performances, and accept constructive criticism in a positive way. Theater has a unique way of connecting people from diverse backgrounds. Theater gives students a voice. Theater creates shared experiences, and theater brings us together. Theater students participate at the district, state, and national level. They have a 5 times lower dropout rate. They're 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement. They're 4 times more likely to participate in a math or science fair, and they're 3 times more likely to win an award for school attendance. Now, here's DeLand High School student Scotty Lovett to talk about his experience in his school theater program.
Good evening, Volusia County School Board. My name is Scotty Lovett, and I'm currently a senior at DeLand High School. Tonight, I would like to briefly talk about theater and the impact that it's had on my life. Throughout my entire life, I've been drawn to telling stories and performing. I was extremely fortunate to attend Freedom Elementary and be able to participate in the school's musicals, which gave me a strong foundation and encouraged me to pursue theater further. I then received an education and engaged in the arts in middle school at Ivy Hahn, but it has been in high school that I've truly been able to grow and flourish. At the beginning of high school, being a part of theater helped me to find friends and to find a sense of belonging. My confidence has grown dramatically, and as a result of my involvement in theater, I've been able to learn leadership skills and professionalism, skills that I will carry for the rest of my life, no matter where life takes me. Theater's helped me challenge myself and think creatively. If it wasn't for the theater education that I've received through the Volusia County education system, I think I can confidently say that I would have not been able to express myself or develop into the person that I am today. Thank you very much for your time and for allowing me to speak. Go Bulldogs.
Thank you also for the opportunity to recognize the month of March as Music in Our Schools Month. As human beings, music and the arts are a part of our soul. It is the way in which students can express themselves in a positive way. Music is curricular, it's extracurricular, it's academic, it's therapeutic, and it's necessary. Music is a way for students to bond with one another, work as a team for a common goal, and learn the skills of performance and presentation, including performance anxiety, vulnerability, and confidence. And then we'll move on here. Now, here's Madison Fields, a University High School band student, to talk about her experience in her music programs.
Good evening. My name is Madison Fields. I'm a senior this year at University High School, and I'm here to share with you a little bit about my experience with band. Music has always been important to me, and I grew up in a household where classical music was always being played, so it wasn't a hard decision for me to sign up for band when I joined middle school. I just didn't know how important to me it would become. Middle school band was fun, but it wasn't until I entered high school that I really found where I belonged. My love for music quadrupled when I got to high school. The community is just amazing. My friends that I've met while involved in band are lifelong friends, and my music teachers, who've been with me from the start, have helped to guide me into who I am today. My favorite part, though, is being able to be a role model for all of the younger musicians in my program and to help them develop and grow. There are some famous studies that have been done that show that music students are more intelligent than your average student, but there are so many other crucial life skills that students learn while in band that just can't be taught in a classroom. I have learned a variety of skills that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, and some that adults haven't even mastered. Being in band has taught me dedication, commitment, strength, endurance, how to be a leader, and it has taught me what passion is. It's rare for kids my age to have passion, but the band room is always full of it. Music is definitely very important to me, but the beautiful thing is, it isn't inclusive to one group of people. Whether you enjoy singing, dancing, acting, playing a string or wind instrument, music is everywhere and for everyone to enjoy. Our county has definitely made an effort to make the arts accessible to everyone on campus, which is wonderful, because even if a student only takes 1 year of music, say Guitar 1, they still pick up on a couple of those important life skills and leave that class a little more well-rounded. I cannot say enough good things about music and the amazing music programs that our county is fortunate enough to have. It was really hard for me to write a short speech because I just want to talk and talk and talk about the amazing aspects of band. But one thing that I will say is the arts as a whole are still very underappreciated. The teachers and band directors work really hard to provide the best programs they can for us, and it's really hard because the arts are often underfunded and understaffed, but I'm happy to be here as a voice for all of the music students of Volusia County to say thank you for all of the programs we are fortunate enough to have, and also as a voice to help develop and grow our programs in the future so that music will be able to impact and enhance the lives of future students as it has to me and so many other students. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madison Fields, everybody. And in addition to our awesome students, we have some of the finest performing arts teachers in Florida right here in our district. Our students don't take classes, they take teachers. Our teachers put in the extra time that's not mandated, and often performing arts teachers have the last cars left in the parking lot at the end of the day. Our teachers put in extra time for rehearsals and performances, provide for out-of-school concerts and experiences, bring in guest artists, and for many of the students are the most stable and present adult in their lives. According to the U.S. Department of Education, arts-rich schools benefit everyone. Research increasingly shows that arts education heightens engagement for all students and can increase motivation and persistence for those most at risk of failing or dropping out of school. Learning in the arts also uniquely equips students with the skills in creativity and divergent thinking, as well as problem solving and teamwork that they need to be college and career ready. I'll close with this quote by William Bennett, former U.S. Secretary of Education. The arts are an essential element of education, just like reading, writing, and arithmetic. Music, dance, painting, and theater are all keys that unlock profound human understanding and accomplishment. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Students, don't leave. Students, don't leave just yet. Have a seat. Superintendent Prince, your recommendation for Resolution 2020-12.
Superintendent recommends the approval of Resolution 2012-12, recognizing the month of March as Theater in Our Schools Month. And then we also have another one. Would you like me to do that one as well? Okay. The superintendent recommends the approval of Resolution 2020-11, recognizing the month of March 2020 as Music in Our Schools Month.
And I believe he also presented for 2020-10, the Youth at Arts.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Bryce Hammond will be next.
Oh, okay, okay. So we did 4.03 colleagues and 4.02. So you heard the motion to accept Resolution 2020-12, recognizing the month of March 2020 as the Theater in Our Schools Month. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, and just because I'm fresh from the production of Mamma Mia at Spruce Creek High School, I make the motion.
I second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signed by aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and that motion is carried. Congratulations, young man. Now you can leave. Resolution 2020-11, recognizing March 2020 as Music in Our Schools Month. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and that motion has been carried. Thank you, young lady. Going back to item 4.01, Resolution 2020-10, recognizing March 2020 as Youth Art Month. Superintendent Fritz.
I'd like to call forward Bryce Hammond, our specialist for visual arts.
Madam Chair Wright, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Fritz, thank you so much for having me tonight. I get really excited about this resolution, so it's hard to go after Mr. Dupuy also. Anyway, my name is Bryce Hammond. I'm the visual art specialist for Volusia County Schools. I already said thank you, but I'm thrilled that the Youth Art Month resolution is on our agenda tonight, and I'm encouraged to know that you are supporters of the arts in our schools. And we are honored tonight to have two esteemed guests. The first is Hannah Rice. She's a senior art student, art star at Seabreeze High School. She actually has artwork here in the boardroom, and if you look, you have your invitation to the show coming up. The pencil drawing in the bottom left is one of hers. And we also have her teacher, Ms. Botkin, who is retiring this year after 35 years at Seabreeze.
Yeah, Seabreeze.
35 years at Seabreeze High School. 42 years teaching, 35 years at Seabreeze High School.
Wow.
So Hannah is going to be reading 3 points from our resolution for Youth Arts Month. And Hannah, you can go ahead and do those.
Art education develops students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs, and art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects.
Thank you, Hannah, so much. I want you all to know that I don't think we've had, in maybe all the years that you've taught in this county, someone who is more accomplished than Hannah. I go in for advanced placement critiques, and she'll be starting something. I'll come back a week later, and these pencil drawings are done in an amazing fashion that are astonishing. How many state awards did you win at Scholastic?
I think I got 9 gold keys and 2 silver keys.
Oh, wow. And then Ms. Bakken, what was the national award? What was the?
She got American Vision's nominee, and she'll find out March 16th if she goes to New York City for the American Visions.
And that show will be at Carnegie Hall, so that's pretty cool too. So, Hannah, we are super proud of you, even though I high-fived you on the stage in Jacksonville. It was weird, sorry. Anyway, although we have community art exhibits throughout the year, the highest concentration of community events and exhibits culminate in March. I encourage you to go out and see the more than 1,000 works from Volusia County students displayed throughout the community. Here's a brief selection of our community art exhibitions and assessments in March for visual art. We have the Advanced Placement Art Exhibition at Art House Gallery in Port Orange right now. This is the exhibition. This exhibition includes the best artworks from all our high school AP art programs. We have the Volusia County Select Adjudicated High School Exhibition, which opens March 7th, and you have that invitation in front of you. I hope to see every one of you there to see this show, because there is a professional gallery across the street, and I have a show in there, and this is going to be better than my show, so that's good for that. We also have the Volusia Students Create. We have 51 schools represented this year at this assessment exhibition, and that's at the Museum of Arts and Sciences in Daytona Beach, like a real museum with all framed artwork from K to 12 art. So I would love to see you all there as well. You will get invitations for all of those. All these shows and more are facilitated by our fabulous art teachers on a volunteer basis. In addition to their classroom work, our art teachers mat, frame, drive, hang, and attend the reception and awards and the evenings and on the weekends. They aren't paid for that, but they do it because they love and believe in what they do. Volusia did it again. We're number one in percentage of scholastic, state, and national winners for the entire state. Yes. Number one. It's not because of me, but we have amazing art teachers and wonderful artists, students in Volusia County, thanks to the leadership that believes in them. And as all our teachers know, to achieve excellence in the visual arts in Volusia County, we keep our students safe, help our students learn, and inspire our students to love art. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Superintendent Fritz, is there a recommendation?
First of all, thank you, Hannah. The superintendent recommends the approval of Resolution 2020-10, recognizing the month of March 2020 as Youth Art Month.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And great job, young lady.
Thank you.
Great job. Moving on to resolution, item 4.04, Resolution 2020-13, recognizing Read Across America Day. Superintendent Fritz.
I'd like to call Ms. Rachel Hazel, our Chief Academic Officer, and Ms. Elizabeth Albert, President of Volusia United Educators. Come forward. Let's go check it out.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Dr. Fritz. While our guests are coming up, Ms. Albert's going to introduce a little bit of why we are here to celebrate.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity this evening. So the National Education Association began the Read Across America program in 1997. And so the purpose of the program is to instill a love of reading in children and a natural curiosity about books. And I believe that our guests tonight have demonstrated that the NEA has achieved its goal.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sharon LaValle, the proud principal at McGinnis Elementary, to introduce her team and give us a little taste of what Read Across America is. I know that many of you have gone to schools and read with students and participated in person, but we thought we would bring it to you tonight.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Superintendent Dr. Fritz. I am Dr. Sharon LaValle, proud principal of McGinnis Elementary School. Read Across America was created by the National Education Association in 1997. It is held on March 2nd to honor the birthday of Dr. Seuss. At McGinnis, we will celebrate the works of Dr. Seuss with read-alouds in a very, very festive atmosphere. I would like to introduce the special members of Team McGinnis. Michelle McFall-Conti, our assistant principal. Jennifer Palmer and Katie Hazel, our amazing intervention specialists. And our Bobcats joining us. Abby, raise your hand. Sydney, Addison, Maddie, and Christian.
We're going to share with you a little excerpt from one of our favorites, Hooray for Different Day. Hooray for Different Day was Dr. Smith's last book that he worked on before he passed, and his two close friends, Jack Polutsky and Lane Smith, got together to complete the book for him. So, a little taste of Hooray for Different Day.
Hold on 1 second. I have a gift for each one of you to follow along.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've always lived in Dietrich, my friends all different too. We go to different for school, we're happy that we do. Our school is in the corner of King Super and Exotic. It looks like any other school, but we suspect it's not. I think we're learning lots of things not taught at other schools. Our teachers are remarkable, they make up their own list. Miss Bobble teaches listening, Miss Blobble teaches smelling, Miss Fiddle teaches laughing, and Mr. Quibble teaches yelling.
Just go.
His wing teaches all the ways a pigeon may be peppered, and how to put a saddle on a lazy razor. My teacher is Miss Bonkers. She's as bouncy as a flea. I'm not certain what she teaches, but I'm glad she teaches me. Look, look, she chirps. I'll show you how to tell a cactus from a cow, and then I shall instruct you why a hippo cannot hope to fly. She even teaches frogs to dance and pigs to put on underpants. One day she taught a duck to sing. Miss Bonkers teaches everything. Of all the teachers in our school, I like Miss Bonkers best. Our teachers are all different, but she's differenter than the rest.
We also have a friend here. His name is Mr. Lowe. He is the very saddest man that any of us know. He mumbles, "Are they learning this and that and such and such?" His face is a wrinkled as a prune from wearing so much. He breaks a lot of pencils from pushing them down too hard. As many dogs start barking, he mopes around the yard. We think he wears false eyebrows. In fact, it shows so. We've heard that he takes them off at night. I guess we'll never know.
To hear more about Different Do for School and all of the wonderful teachers included there, check out Hooray for Different Do for Day on March 2nd for Read Across America Day.
Yeah.
All right.
So I saw a few chuckles as you went through the book. So Dr. Fritz, would you share what you noticed about your book?
Well, I noticed that a few of us were in there, and I'm just wondering where you found my picture.
Well, I have an investigative team at my school, so they were in charge of finding those wonderful pictures and putting that together. And so I hope that you enjoy them. We have very creative, talented teachers at McGinnis, and which makes being principal so wonderful and amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well done.
I especially like Mrs. Wright.
Yep, the cowgirl.
Yes, the cowgirl.
Oh, Miss Hazel's in there,
Superintendent
too.
Russell, Superintendent Fritz, is there a recommendation?
Yeah, there is. The superintendent recommends the approval of Resolution 2020-13, recognizing Read Across America Day.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
May I compliment them?
Sure.
Thank you so much for reading. You were fabulous. I could hear you, all of you, and you looked like you enjoyed it. You made us enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you. Ditto. Don't leave because we're going to take a photo, so don't leave. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by aye.
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 Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Wonderful job, young team. And if we come on, we're going to come to the steps and we'll take a photo.
That was so cute.
That was. Got everybody? Okay.
She didn't want to come, but.
Thank you. We're going to reconvene our meeting. Colleagues, we're reconvening. Thank you very much. Colleagues around the dais, if you don't mind that I take up just a quick point of privilege. As the longest serving board member, I've had the pleasure of working with a great administrative team. And that team in the superintendent's office was led by Ms. Denise Dietrich. And Denise, I know you're ready for retirement and to go let your hair down and have a little fun. But you will truly, truly be missed. You are definitely the staple to all of us and part of the glue. And we wish you well. We are saddened that you have decided to retire, but you deserve it. And we really want you to enjoy your retirement. So at this time, I would like for my colleagues to give you well wishes, and then I'll turn it over to Superintendent Fritz and our school board attorney. Who would like to go first?
I'll start.
Thank you.
Well, I've known Denise a long time, and when you're a principal in the district, and you get the call from the superintendent's secretary or administrative assistant, it could be a very scary thing, because usually they don't call you for something good, and something's up. And but then on the other hand, when you come on and you need some assistance and you're just getting absolutely frustrated, you're just not getting where you need to go, and the red tape, and nobody is returning your call. You just make that call to Denise. You know, she has that very efficient way, you know, of answering the phone. And you just know when she answers the phone, get to the point. You know, it's not time to say, how are you? You know, like, what are you doing? You know, it's business. It is like, and isn't it amazing how just that 3 words and get to the point, business. I'm a busy person. I don't have time to chit chat. Let's do it. What do you need? What do you need? And then whatever you need, it gets done. I mean, it gets done. You can just count on it. So busy people love to interact with other busy people, because we don't have time, you don't have time, and you get it done. And I just appreciate your level of service and how you keep it all together. It just fascinates me. I mean, you're dealing with so many things, and I don't know. I just know how you do it. I mean, because everybody wants you, everybody wants him, everybody wants superintendent, everybody wants it done. They all want it done now, and you're juggling, and you do it in such a classy way that, and you make it look easy. And anyone that ever answers a phone for anybody busy, it's not easy. And just to keep your temperament and keep that, somehow I'm just in awe of everything that you've done, and I just wish you the best. And I'm just so happy that I did get to know you a few years as a school board member, again, that made me just admire you even more, because I could see you personally in action, and I just think you're a fantastic person. So thank you for your service to the Volusia County School District.
And so, as the person who's known you the least amount of time, coming into this world and knowing very little and knowing very few people, having a smiling face who was always willing to help meant the world to me. And I still don't know a lot of people, but I definitely know Denise. And so I appreciate everything that you've done for our school district. You've been through a lot, many different leaders, many different policies, decisions, and yet you held us all together. So again, thank you so much for your service to our students. Thank you.
So I've had the privilege of knowing Denise for many years since I've been here. But what I think a lot of people don't know is the amount of hours you have given up every single day of your life. I know there's been times, especially during the summer, that I walked out of Olson from a very late meeting and you were still there, or you were just walking out. And I don't think people appreciate all the time sometimes that you've given, because they don't see it. But I told Dr. Fritz as we were hiring him how honored he was going to be, because you were going to be there to be his right hand. I said, the best blessing we can give you as you walk in the door is to have Denise, not knowing you were going to go ahead and exit. It's okay. But you know what? You've done all of this. You have gone through how many superintendents, and you have stayed there, seven. Stayed there and been calm and been that voice that always answers, and you always do have a smile on your face, and you solve the problems that are going on, and you make it easier for all of us. And I want to wish you the very best as you move into this new chapter in your life, because you have earned it more than anyone else here. You've earned it, and I hope that it's everything that you've dreamed of, and you finally get to put yourself first instead of everyone in Volusia County. But thank you so very much for all your time.
You have served 6 superintendents over 40-some years, 42? 31 years. 48 years total. It's a lot of time. I have to tell you, I live on the same side of the county, in the same general area as Denise, and I have to give you a funny experience that I had. I was in line, I was on a bus in line at the Christmas parade a couple of years ago, and who goes by walking with your son? I saw Denise. It was a Denise sighting, so I have had quite a few Denise sightings over the years, but that was the first time I leaned too far out of a bus to yell and say, Denise, Denise, hello. So I hope to have more sightings of you over the years coming up as I'm somewhat retired. So I hope to see you in the stores having lunch, maybe at Peach Valley Cafe at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. Won't that be nice? It'll be great. So, and reading the newspaper and a cup of coffee at 9 o'clock in the morning. There's nothing like it. So congratulations, you are the consummate professional, and I think you are the trainer extraordinaire of the entire district. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
I was just sitting here writing down some adjectives. And it was so easy. I mean, professional, classy, competent, kind, succinct. I agree with Carl. Reliable. I never called you once that what you said you were going to do didn't happen. You have been the face of the superintendent's office, and every superintendent has benefited from that and your involvement with them. You have made them all look so good, and it is sad to see you go. I will remember, I'll just tell one quick story. When I first started as school board attorney, I came and I had a tie on, and it was kind of a nice tie or whatever. And some of the, I won't name them, but some of the what are now cabinet members decided that they were going to train me, and they were criticizing me for not wearing like ties with stick figures or, do you remember this? Do you really? Oh my gosh. And I mentioned it to you and you said, oh my God, don't listen to those people. You wear the ties you wear. So, I just remember that like it was yesterday. So anyway, you will be greatly missed. And thank you for being a part of my life, however small.
So when you check out a school district to be the superintendent, you're checking out some of the people you're going to be working with. And I will say that Denise's name came up more than anybody else's in this entire school district. I thought I worked hard, but I'm going to tell you, Denise beats me here many mornings, and she's here when I go ready to leave. I seldom see her eat lunch. And what's more important is there have been times already that challenges have faced me. And more than one time, Denise has walked in the room, shut the door, and said to me, you got this. And then we've talked about your retirement, and you're going, I don't know about this. Well, let me just tell you, you got this. And it's really nice when you have someone that you work with, even for this short amount of time, that you genuinely like. So,
yeah,
$50.
Oh man, Denise, you got to give us $50.
I think she gets a pardon.
We kind of trapped her. Anyway, I did reserve the right to reach out to her for now and for the next 10 years if I need her. So. It wouldn't be be uncommon.
But again, come up front, Denise. We would like for you, if you would like to say some words. But as a former administrative assistant, I served in your role for 10 years.
Oh.
And it is always a pleasure to see someone who, as they stated, just very professional, to the point, a person of their word, and work really hard. And we do appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you all for your wonderful words. I'm so touched. I'm trying not to cry. But it's been an honor and a privilege, every single moment of it. Every day is different, an adventure. I've loved all of these superintendents that I've worked with. They've all had their strengths, their talents, challenges. But, you know, we went through it all, and I'm always loyal to who I work for. And I've grown so much and learned so much. I am so sorry about that. My phone is ringing again. Oh, my gosh. I'm checking out. Anyway, thank you. It means a great deal. Stop, just push it.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, thank you all. This meant a great deal to me. I appreciate it. You know I don't like doing this, so. But thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Go answer your phone.
Thank you for allowing us to indulge for a moment. Moving on to item 5.01, public participation. Are there any cards? Okay. You're correct. Okay, so I'll do that. So do we have any for the consent agenda? No, okay. Moving on to 6.01, Superintendent Fritz, did anyone request anything to be removed from our consent agenda?
No, ma'am.
Colleagues, did anyone want anything removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion?
I do have a question for the superintendent, and again, just want to emphasize, some of these field trip requests were from months and months ago. And so one of them, particularly at one of my schools, was submitted as early as November and approved by the principal the 2nd of December, and so they too have been waiting for approval so they could start fundraising. They're going to New York, and so just if we could just, again, get these in a more timely, because I didn't realize it, and had I known it until they reached out and said, hey, what's going on with this, we wouldn't have, I mean, and they've been waiting months, so thanks.
Yes, so sir.
Thank you, Mr. Colon, and we have noted that, and the ones coming forth are all current, and some of them are even in advance for next year, for next academic year. Awesome. So we are moving through those, but thank you for that notation. Any other comments? All in favor signify by aye.
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 Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Moving on to item, I want to say, I think, 14.01, superintendent announcements.
Yeah, we have several announcements today. First, Monday, Saturday, March 7th, we have the FFEA District Conference starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, going into to 2 p.m. at DeLand High School. It is spring forward time. We have the daylight savings time for Sunday, March 8th, 2020. Our next school board work session will be Tuesday, March 10th. That will be at 10 a.m. in this boardroom. The next regular school board meeting is Tuesday, March 10th at 3:30 in this boardroom. And I have one additional request. It's been brought to my attention that the Volusia County has made a request for the appointments of the school board member and citizen member to serve on the Value Added Adjustment Board for the 2020 session. My office has been in contact with Mr. Ross Janke, who served as a citizen member last year and is excited to serve for 2020. Ms. Cuthbert has also agreed to serve as the school board member for the 2020 session. Is there a member to serve on the Value Added Adjustment Board for the 2020 session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried, so they will remain our representative. Thank you so much. Now we'll move to 15.01, public participation. And we have one card, Mrs. Elizabeth Albert.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Fritz, and members of the audience. I'd like to begin by stating my regrets about not being able to attend the workshop on February 11th. We were at a school serving our members, and so that, of course, don't feel bad, took priority. However, I listened to the audio after the fact, and I've learned a whole lot from listening to that workshop. Particularly, there were some very interesting comments about the 1 hour, 2 minute, 30-second mark. And so I listened to those comments about 6 times. 1 hour, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Quite disturbing. But I'll move on. Those people, the ones that I represent, the over 3,800 of them, are concerned about many things. And one of the main things that we're concerned about is the communication process in the district. That's nothing new. We've talked about it a whole lot. And we understand that the changes that are coming our way will make things better. But what I would ask is that we communicate more effectively about the changes. I can give you some examples. I was contacted by an office specialist today who is wanting to access her budget. She wants to know what her sub-budget is, what her copy center budget is, and she can't get to those things. She needs that information so that she can plan and prepare, because quite often schools come up short at the end of the year and they need to find those funds. Something's happening, she doesn't know what it is. We've worked very closely with Ms. Moeller, who has created an effective and efficient, streamlined process for teachers submitting their lead receipts. She's communicated very well with me. We've reached out to our members, but what we've found is not everyone knows. We must do a better job of communicating these good things that are happening in our district. Because I can tell you, the last number that I heard was a little over 80. That's indicative of the vacancies that we currently have in our district. We're coming up at spring break, and we have almost 80 vacancies, or maybe a little more. That's not good. Perhaps if we were able to more effectively communicate with our folks and tell them about the good things that are coming, tell them that the IEPs will be fixed. Mr. Griffin's working very hard on that. There are some things in the works, but our folks don't know about them. So what we're seeing more and more is they're taking their keys, they're going to the front office, they're dropping them off, and they're saying enough is enough. We call that the silent strike. But as we move forward and we work together to bring Volusia to the A, we want to do it in a collaborative way that's mutually respectful and well communicated. And we're here to help. We have more than 3,800 members. I think that'll do some of the lifting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Albert. Moving on to item 16.01, Human Resources Update. Superintendent Fritz.
I'm going to ask Mr. West to come forward. I believe he handed you out a sheet as well so that you can follow when you go through.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for having the opportunity to come forward again. Thank you, Ms. Albert, also for actually bringing in some of the exciting things that we actually do want to communicate and talk about with our teachers. And so first of all, with the HR corner that I'm presenting with you today, or presenting to you today, she's absolutely right. We still do have a number of vacancies that out there that we are working on filling. As I'm sure you're aware, this time of the year is very difficult, first of all, to not have teachers in front of our students, but it's also very difficult to find teachers just simply because of the time of the year. But we are still working on that and working on that process. There are a number of things that we're also doing to look forward to for next year, and I just want to mention it. It's not actually on the report or the corner here, but after speaking with Ms. Cuthbert, what I'm going to be presenting at the principals meeting is that we're actually looking at extending drop for those teachers who are in drop, to extend contracts, to try to keep them here. State law does allow us to extend those up to 3 additional years. And what we'll do is we'll look at that on an annual basis and have principals give us input on that and have a process in place to actually allow those teachers to do that. But we just recognize that this is a time that we have a need. And so we're going to be looking to see everything that we can to be able to do that. We do have our annual hiring fair coming up in April, on April 16th as well. The night before, we're having a candidate reception for that as well. And we're very excited about that and what we're going to be able to do to recruit teachers into Volusia County for next year.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you move, Mr. West, do any of you have any questions for Mr. West or Superintendent Fritz?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible to find out the number of teachers who have been employed but who have resigned, like maybe at the end of the first semester or the end of the third quarter? It would be nice to know these are vacancies that, and how long have they been open? Have they been open all year, or have they been filled part of the time? That might be helpful. And what can we do as leaders of the district to make this a little better? What policies can we put into place
Yes.
or procedures to make it easier for a teacher in a classroom? Because of discipline issues, because of certain controls outside our purview, what can we do in administrative policies? Because I don't think our code of conduct is completely finished yet, is it? It's still in the works?
It's actually, Ms. Rowland is revising it, and we are getting ready to present to the principals next week.
Okay, so we might have some input from principals to how can we make our campuses operate better and our kids happier. If we have happy children, we have happy teachers. If we have happy teachers, we have happy students.
Absolutely.
So
I will say that some of the things, and I'm just speaking from the HR perspective for recruitment purposes specifically, because that's what we're really putting the focus on right now, because now is the hiring season for next year, right now. And excuse me, at the principals meeting next week, and we had our first day of pre-allocation phone calls to our principals, all of our elementary principals today. We were able to reach out and our team sat down. We're pushing our unit and allocation timeline back, or I guess up, so that we actually can give them that information earlier, so they can recognize what their vacancies are, so we can actually hire those people at the hiring fair right then and there, connect them to the schools, so we'll be able to keep them for the entire year. So we won't have those resignations in the middle of the year of what we're talking about, or even before they get here, going to another county. You touched on the data that we are starting to collect. And one of the things that I've added is another line down here. We actually broke out the differences in our long-term subs of which long-term subs are actually filling true vacancies versus long-term subs that are in, I'm going to call them temporary vacancies if somebody's on an FMLA leave or something like that. So I thought that was important information to collect as well. We have collected those resignations since the beginning of the year, and we're tracking that data to see where those are. To be frank with you, it's not at any one specific point or place. We have hired a number of teachers, but you'll notice the number of vacancies aren't going down because of exactly what's happening, is that people are leaving as well. And so we're working to try to keep that and kind of chase that number. But we're also putting things in place so that we don't have those vacancies and we don't have those resignations mid-year. So we really are looking and hiring right now for next year. And that's part of the communication piece that Elizabeth was talking about also, and make sure that we get that out to our teachers.
And thank you. And
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
one more thing, Madam Chair. Each year I have asked, because I was a participant in a peer working relationship, I assisted 3 other teachers. As an experienced teacher on a campus, I was a peer buddy to new teachers on campus. And it was just a friendly way. A new teacher had a contact that was non-threatening, non-administrative, to say, what's the procedure on this campus? What do we do? Come and see my classroom, watch me teach, give me some pointers.
Right.
And it's all voluntary. I understand we cannot do supplements,
Sure.
but I think if we're going to nurture our new people, we need to have experienced teachers involved.
Agreed, and having that structure in place, and part of that is training with our principals, and in all fairness, I don't think we've had that training to have that induction program at a school site specifically for that. I know we do have some things in place, but I think making sure that it's consistent across the entire district,
Yes,
that's part of what it is that
consistency,
we're looking to put in place. Yes, ma'am.
And empowered by all the principals.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. West.
Mr. Cologne?
So hearing Linda's question brought me back to a time when we mentioned this, and of course we've had a lot of change, but last year we experienced where we had a teacher apply who had from 1970, we'll say 1970, just for, had something that otherwise today would not be considered criminal. And so she's been a teacher at a neighboring district since then, never any issue, but our policy of not hiring anybody who's had that kind. So our policies, and you may not have the answer today, are our policies consistent with today versus tomorrow? It was very painful to see that we had to say to this young lady, sorry, black and white, you can't come here, because, and the same thing translates to, some of our trades. We've got folks we're excluding for, something that happened a very, very, very long time ago, that when I sat on the Florida Board of Respiratory Care, we'd be more, we would have issued a license to take care of patients, yet we had a black and white, sorry, can't help you. So I don't know if you've had time to look at that, but.
Actually, we have, yes, sir. One of the things that we're working with Mr. Manning on is looking at the policy cycle of when the next cycle is to bring policies to the board. And some of the things that we're taking a look at are some of those HR policies that I'm going to, as you use your words, out of date, of things that we can take a look to update. And that will be something that we will bring to you, because that is something that is in policy that we would have to actually change.
So and again, I don't know how far, but I don't know what the regular policy cycle is, but if, I know there's a 30-day posting and all
Correct.
of that, but arguably the sooner we get that done, maybe we may be able to affect this year, because if that policy cycle is in September,
right,
we've done nothing to help this year, but that's.
That's the first that I heard that we have a policy cycle.
Oh, I use that terminology. I actually I'm asking our lawyer to research that. And
Okay.
yeah, Mr. Manning he is aware of that, and that's something that
yeah, we really don't
I'm using that term. So
no, that's
yes.
fine. I said we really don't have a policy cycle.
Understood.
Normally, if there are policies that we have concerns, or the superintendent, or even his cabinet level staff has an issue or something they want to discuss, they will bring it forward. But I believe with us looking at our strategic plan, this is probably a good time to look at all of our policies to make sure that they are aligned with where we want to go strategically. And so this will be the time that we probably look at all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Go right ahead, Superintendent Fritz.
I will say this, that HR has been working pretty steadily, trying to improve onboarding and some of our other practices. One of the things that I've instructed Mr. West and his team to do is to look at centralized hiring. And there are critical areas that we are short that we have to do, And so when we reach out to those applicants, just like we did with our interns that are sitting in our schools, we've also offered them conditional employment pending the successful completion of their internship and as long as they meet our criteria for employment. We have to be aggressive, and you heard Mr. West talk about that we are pushing that timeline. Here's what you need to know. We were a month and a half behind all the other Central Florida school districts when it came to hiring. And so condensing that, and there really is a cycle. You get your student needs, you start looking at your allocations, and those determine your HR needs. And so we have really, in those pre-allocation calls that Mr. West was talking about, our team was calling schools and talking about their student needs. We'll be hitting middle and high school next, and then we'll have those allocation meetings that I talked to you about where they can come in and talk about their individual schools. And so as we go forward, the goal is actually to beat where we're at. I mean, right now, I think the team could tell you that I want to be 2 weeks farther ahead because most districts are at this point by February 28th, and our goal is to get there even sooner. Because one thing I found out this week, which I thought was really interesting, I took our team over to UCF because I wanted to get my foot in the door first. And so used some old contacts, we got in, and here's what was said to me. 2 years ago, 1,000 teachers graduated from the undergraduate program. This year, 550 are graduating. It's a tough business to go into, and we recognize why it's so tough, but we have to be more aggressive than usual. So we are going to go centralized hiring. We're going to start using local contacts, people that have graduated from universities, to build those alumni. So we're going full force. We can't say anymore that we have a hiring season. It's 365 days a year. So that'll be a big piece of our strategic plan as we go forward, I assume, with recruitment, development, and retention of our staff.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. West. Moving to action item 17.01, student discipline regarding attendance, and 17.02, student discipline regarding transportation. Superintendent Fritz.
I'd like to ask Ms. Rose Rowland to come forward, Area Superintendent.
Good evening, Chairwoman Wright, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Scott Fritz. I'm Rose Rowland on behalf of the Student Displacement Committee. The District Student Placement Committee is recommending to the superintendent that he request the board extend the suspension for the identified students through March 10th, 2020. 1 UHKY, 1 SJDI, 1 OCKQ, 1 RLMO, 1 SJMV, 1 SCHQ, 1 WNHW, 1 QLPC, 1 QKOR, 1 SBJR, 1 YBVQ, 1 YGXU, 1 TEAM, 1 SFSJ, 1 TYQP, 1 TQMW, 1 SNYZ, 1 STLS, 1 SWMK.
There's more.
So you do them together. One is transportation, one is student discipline. Did I miss one? Oh, on the back, I'm sorry. 1 QDQQ, 1 QCML, 1 VRTL, 1 QUDI, 1 YAVG.
Superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension of students identified by Ms. Rowland from school attendance through March 10th, 2020 for purpose of further study and evaluation.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
The District Student Placement Committee is recommending to the superintendent that he request the board extend the suspension from school-sponsored transportation for the identified students through March 10th, 2020. 1 QMUX, 1 RSZP, 1 RTSV, 2 AONT.
The Superintendent recommends the board extend the suspension of students identified by Ms. Rowland from school-sponsored transportation through March 10th, 2020 for purpose of further study and evaluation.
You've heard the
Second.
The motion is properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those that oppose? Ayes have it and the motion is carried. Thank you, Ms. Rowland. And colleagues, for items dealing with student discipline as it relates to attendance and transportation, it has been recommended that we move this to the consent agenda. Since all the information is printed, we really don't need to take this time. We can do it on the consent agenda. Is that okay with each of you?
That's a great idea.
Okay, so I have the consensus. So we'll do that starting from our next meeting.
Yeah.
And then if we have questions, we can.
Yes, you can always ask questions, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 18.01, board action item.
I'd like to bring Mr. Greg Aiken, Chief Operating Officer, and Ms. Sarah Lee Morrissey, Director for Planning and Business Services. I guess. And Ms. Marianne Ridgway. Sorry, Ms. Marianne Ridgway, Real Estate Specialist. Thank you.
Give me 1 second, I'll get this ready to go. There. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Fritz, thank you for this opportunity for Ms. Ridgway and I to present the sale of the surplus property. It's approximately 28 acres at Big Tree and Nova Road, Roads, I guess. And I'm going to turn it over to Marion to allow her to show you what's up in front of you today on the screen.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. The 28-acre property located on the south side of Big Tree Road and the west side of Nova Road was acquired by the school board in a land trade with Embry-Riddle in 2004. The original intent of that transaction was to transfer the Daytona transportation to that site. However, after significant public input, the board at the time decided to seek another site. The Big Tree and Nova site is a nuisance property for us. After working with the City of Daytona Police Department and their code enforcement, it still has vagrants trespassing, and it also is a dumping ground that maintenance has had to go out and clean up several times. The property is now zoned for multifamily development. There are some wetlands that travel through the middle of the property. The property was listed for sale with a real estate broker in March of 2014 with an asking price of $1,750,000, and we had no offers. There has been little interest in the property until recently. We have completed 2 appraisals on this property. The first one was done in March of 2018, and the appraiser estimated a value of $2,352,000, and that was based on 336 multi-development units. The second appraisal was completed in January of 2020, and that concluded to a value of $2,685,000 based on 345 multi-unit units. Both appraisers determined that the highest and best use of this property was for multifamily development and solely based the development potential on the property's land use. Due to a recent increase in interest on this property, staff decided to enact a sealed bid process that was done in January of 2020. We had 2 bids submitted. The highest cash offer was for $2,353,000, and it's based on 148 apartments and 60 cottage homes, and the contract calls for closing in September of 2020. The other cash offer was $1.5 million, and that was based on 80 mobile home units, and that contract calls for a January 2021 closing. Both the contract language and the purchase price of the highest offer by Southern Investment Group is the better of the 2 bids.
Do you have any questions on what you have in front of you? This shows both of the bids that we actually got. We broke it down by purchase rate, the deposit, flexibility, study, closing, and et cetera, all the way down the line. So we try to give that comparison for you so you can look at that this evening.
Is this current zoning consistent with what they're asking to do, or are they going to have rezoning?
No, we had that property rezoned to multifamily several years ago, so it is consistent with that. It would not be consistent with the mobile home.
So it's consistent, okay,
Mhm.
great.
Multifamily.
Yes.
Any other questions?
What is the acreage?
28.
It's 28 acres.
28, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I missed that one. Thank you.
Okay. Superintendent Fritz?
I have a question, I don't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
It's okay. Yeah, I was just waving, that's all.
Oh.
So is there any downside to selling this? I mean, obviously, we don't seem to have a need for it, and
No,
it's
it
a
was
nuisance
declared
and-
surplus.
Right, yeah.
As I said, it really is a liability.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, probably 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from a citizen that said, just in case you're not aware, there are homeless people setting up camps.
I'm
And
sure.
we have cleaned that out more than one time.
Yeah.
And we work very well with Daytona Beach PD to help us police that area. There's no downside to selling this property. It was intended, the purchase from Embry-Riddle was to put our transportation terminal there.
Yeah.
And then we had the outcry, if you remember, from the citizens.
Oh, I do.
Right.
I do, yeah.
So then, it's just been in surplus since then.
Yeah, so it's in the city limits of Daytona Beach?
Yes. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Superintendent Fritz?
Superintendent recommends the acceptance of the sealed bid submission for the 28 acres at Big Tree and Nova Road. The acceptance is the highest cash offer in the amount of $2,353,000 from Southern Investment Group, and authorize staff to finalize the vacant land contract with Southern Investment Group for the future school board approval and execution.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the sale bid, or not the sale bid, the purchase bid of Southern Investment Group for $2,353,000 for 28 acres at the corner of Nova and Big Tree.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to item 18.02, board action items, expenditures, Nissan Frontiers, Superintendent Fritz.
Mr. Aiken has a PowerPoint that he's going to share with us as we go into our 3-year plan. Felt it was very important for the board and the public to understand where we're going with the purchase of vehicles. And really to have a litmus test of what our vehicle purchase is and when we decide to do that, so that people understand we're not just purchasing vehicles to purchase vehicles. I think you'll be surprised when you start to go through this presentation, you look at some of the age of the vehicles and how many miles they have on them. But again, this is over the next 3 years, and we'll continually update the board every year because you'll need a 3-year plan every year for the next 3 years. So, Greg, why don't you take it away?
Yes, sir. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Fritz, thank you for this opportunity. This is our fleet replacement plan. It's not the school buses. This is going to be what we call the white fleet and the blue fleet. And we got off-road fleet as well. But this is a good plan for us to kind of go over the next 3 years. If you remember, I met with each one of you and kind of went over in detail some of this plan already. So this is going to be a quick overview of what we kind of talked about earlier. This pie graph kind of illustrates the fleet, how it's laid out within each one of the departments. You can see our biggest department is facility maintenance with 175 vehicles. Those are what we call group or pool vehicles. Those are the ones used by our mechanics, which are trades, which would be plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys. They stock their vehicles and then head out to maintenance repairs. And as you can go through, you can see the rest of those that are there. I think the next one is 30, which is driver's ed. We have a good driver's ed program at all of our high schools. And then the next one would be our school athletic vehicles, which are our vans at our schools. And as you go down, each one of the departments that have some requirements to visit schools, we have these pool vehicles that are used for to maintaining the systems, whether it's technology service, transportation, or others. We start looking at the age, and I appreciate Dr. Fritz mentioning about the age of our vehicles and how old they are. This is an illustration of the vehicles that we've purchased. As you know, over the last several years, we've been buying ones and twosies coming through. I know this year we kind of brought forward in piecemeal a couple of board meetings with our vehicle purchases. I know I have one more next week. Next board meeting, excuse me. In the future, what we're going to do is bring all vehicles all at one time. And this is what we're going to purchase based on the 3-year plan that I'm going to go over here in just a few minutes. With that said, there are times when vehicles actually break down, right? And it's cost prohibitive to repair that vehicle, blown engine, for example, some of those things that may occur. And so that would be our adjustment that you would see that I would be bringing forward and illustrate that to everybody. Of this, you can look at the 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and over 20 years old. The majority of our vehicles are over 11 years old currently right now, and a lot of those vehicles have close to 200,000 miles on those vehicles currently today. I want to start with facility maintenance and operations. I know they're the largest one, if you remember from the last slide. 175 vehicles are currently there today. Their vehicles have been in use for quite a time. So how we read this chart, it's pretty easy, and so I can just go through this fairly quickly. So on the left-hand side is the year of the vehicle that we have. It's a Chevy, 2000 Chevy. We want to replace it with a 2-door Nissan Frontier, and the price is associated with that. So for this year, fiscal year 2019-2020, we're asking, well, we already did. You already proved it, believe it or not, by $377,576 for the replacement of those vehicles that are listed there for our facility maintenance department. For next year, which is the fiscal year, 2021, again, we're looking at the replacement, the age of those vehicles, and we're hoping that these maintain for another year, and then we will be requesting those vehicles to be purchased for $339,634. And then we go out the next year, same format here for fiscal year 2021, 2022, it's hard to say. And then the total of $335,890 would be requested for replacement of those vehicles as they age out as well. And then we went out one more year for facility maintenance. We actually have a 5-year plan, but we're showing 3-year plan. But we went out for 4 years here from FY 2022 and 2023, $337,000. You can see we're still changing out some more vehicles at that point in time. By using this plan and going out over the 3 or 4 year plan, we're hoping to have everything, our return on investment be huge for us because we won't spend as much money on maintenance and repair of these vehicles. There'll be newer vehicles in our fleet and readily available for our staff to repair our schools. This is what we call our blue fleet. Now, our blue fleet is the garbage trucks, state trucks, and bucket trucks and the like, flatbed trailers, those type of things that we need. As you know, we have our own in-house garbage pickup and recycling, so those vehicles put lots of miles on them every day. They run Monday through Friday and go across the whole district, and we have 2 vehicles there right now. So over the FY 2020 to 2022, we requested $1.2 million. And I've broken it down by year. So for 2020, we're requesting a garbage truck, state bed truck, and then a bucket truck. And then you can look at our FY 2021 and then 2022. Those are high item dollar figure vehicles. They're specialty vehicles, so they do cost a little bit more, and we do go on bid. The one thing we could look at for our garbage trucks, we can get into a lease process or a lease program, like you can for a regular car. And we can actually lease those a little bit cheaper for us in the long run, and I have to spend $1.2 million. Student transportation, as you know, student transportation has several vehicles. We have pickup trucks for response to vehicles that break down our buses, and so we also have shop trucks. So this is the 4-year plan, including this year, asking for $137,000 from 2020 to 2022. So that's the total cost, and those are the number of vehicles we would be looking at, which are 5. And those are based on today's state contract bid that we currently have. So we tried to, it may be a little bit higher by a dollar amount following years, 3 years out. look at purchasing a warehouse, that's kind of very unique. Purchasing does two things. They deliver our mail and they also deliver School Week Cafe. So some of these vehicles are federal funds as well, and also could be some of the capital funds. So for the warehouse for 2020, we don't have any vehicles we're purchasing. We're requesting 2021, 22, and 23, 3 vehicles. And then the dollar amount is $220,000. And that it would be a cost share between capital and federal programs through School Week Cafe. School Week Cafe is kind of unique. They have their own vehicles for district staff, moving smallware and other equipment to different schools. And so that's all federal funding. We're looking at 2 vehicles for 2021 and then 1 vehicle for the next 2 years out for $92,000. Technology Service is requesting for 2020 some replacement vehicles. We've had a couple of their vans. Their vans are very old as well. They don't have a larger fleet as others, but they have the need to replace several of their vans currently this year. So we requested $192,000 to replace their vans in 2020, and then 2021 we asked for 1 more van, and they should be good to go after that. And then administrative services is our general fund, and that's the only category. Everything else is capital fund spent. This is general fund, and this is our district senior or cabinet members that actually drive all over the district to visit schools or respond to emergencies. As you know, we hired a new deputy superintendent. We are requesting for this year to buy 1 Ford Fusion, which you've already approved a couple of board meetings ago. That should be in by June, and then over the next 3 years, we're requesting 1 replacement based on mileage moving forward, and it's $72,000 over the next 4 years. Now it's open for discussion.
So the vans that we approved today, these were all budgeted for this year, and so this is not additional expense. This was already budgeted for, correct?
Yes, sir. We set aside $500,000, $500,000 of capital funds to purchase the vehicles that were brought forward, not only this evening, 1 for next March 10th, and the other ones that you already approved.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Greg, great presentation, and it's comforting to know we have a plan and
Yes,
we're
sir.
thinking ahead and all that. You may want to explain a little bit the state of Florida contract on the vehicles and how we go about accessing that, and then who services the vehicles after we purchase them.
Yes, sir. So every year, or it could be multi-years, the state goes out and puts out a bid to the major manufacturers, Nissan, Chevy, Ford, et cetera, and go out for the best pricing for the most type of vehicles that we use in the state of Florida. So all of the manufacturers bring in those pricings, and it goes on what they call their state bid. So that state bid is then approved for us to piggyback off of to buy those vehicles at that cost that they made the determination on. It normally takes anywhere from 90 to 120 days on regular vehicles, and it could take up to 6 or 7 months for specialty vehicles to be able to receive into us. For us to receive those and then put them back into service. Once we receive those vehicles, we actually do all of the maintenance in-house. Our transportation department takes care of the majority of all of the yellow fleet and the majority of the school-based vehicles. And facility maintenance takes care of their vehicles. That's a lot of vehicles that they have.
What about the warranty work?
Yeah, so the warranty as well, our mechanics are ASE certified. And so we recoup funds from doing warranty work on all of our vehicles. Some of the vehicles, if we're not certified in or a mechanic is not, then we send it back to the local dealer that if it's a Ford, we take it to a Ford dealer, and they do that maintenance work for us then.
I'm curious about the Ford Fusion. Did we select the Ford Fusion as one? In other words, did the state have contracts on similar cars, similar just passenger cars?
They do. They do, sir. They have vans, sedans, different things. Ford Fusion had the best gas mileage. We looked at the best price, the bigger bang for a buck, and then longevity of those vehicles. We're looking at from cradle to grave, and then we have a good replacement cycle. We start looking at about 120,000,
Yeah.
and if the vehicle's performing very well, we'll keep it a little bit longer. But if it's costing us some maintenance cost down the line, besides tires and oil changes, and that's normal maintenance. But if it continues to break down or having some other issues, then we become forward to recommend.
Picking it, yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. We're trying to standardize our fleet as well. I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah.
So I had a question. On the first slide, under facilities maintenance and operation, where you show you're going to start replacing some of the trucks with the two-door Nissan Frontiers.
Yes.
You have there, and I see that we had a 2006 compact crew cab, but we're replacing it with a four-door Nissan Frontier, and you have that in more than one location. So am I to assume that that vehicle has more than one or two employees that are being hauled around at one time, that's why we would have a four-door?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, so instead of the two-door, doing four-door, and we can have a smaller group, for example, our painters, they can use that truck and put the paint in the back with their ladders, and then all four can ride instead of using two vehicles.
So that's a painter's truck?
Or it could be. I mean, it could be anybody. I just use it as an example. It could also be one of our project managers, and sometimes they go in pairs. Sometimes we go as a group and go out to look at one of our sites to do a site review. For example, George Mark would be a prime example. If we have several of our district staff going, we'd all jump in that one truck instead of taking 3 or 4 vehicles over there as well.
Okay, so that brings me up to a question that I asked earlier. I would like to see a list of all of these vehicles, and I know right now we're only looking at the ones you're replacing, but there's a lot more vehicles than what's listed here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see a list of, the year of the vehicle, the description. Is it a 4-door pickup? Is it a 2-door? What is it? And I'd like to know who they're assigned to, or if they are just assigned to the general, where they're, sitting at Olson or sitting over at one of the transportation sites. Because I'm trying to be fiscally responsible, and I appreciate a 3-year plan on this, but I personally have seen a lot of vehicles sitting out there that are not being driven on a daily basis. And I understand, it's coming out of capital funds or whatever, but we need to be fiscally responsible even with capital funds on what we're purchasing and or what's just sitting, parked. And nothing against the example you just gave, but, if you're gonna drive over to George Mark's, and obviously that 4-door either belongs to somebody, it's been assigned to someone, or it's just sitting there, not being driven, and then everybody jumps into it and goes. I have a hard time with that. I mean, I need to know that we are, no matter what the fund source is, that we're being fiscally responsible. And I know, of course, you're showing us the oldest vehicles that need to be changed out right now, but I'd like to know where all the vehicles are and who they're assigned to. Because I personally have seen, they're either being used correctly or not correctly.
Yes, ma'am. So I'd be more than happy to send that report to you tomorrow. We have that detailed out, who they're assigned to, if they're a pool vehicle or they're assigned to a vehicle, to a person. And we can also break it down. Some of our white fleet needs to be spares as well. So when a vehicle comes in for repair, broken down, we got to put them in another vehicle. So some of those that you're seeing around at Olson that are kind of waiting, or at a facility hub, those are there waiting as a spare in case their vehicle breaks down, and they can jump into the other truck and continue working instead of not having a vehicle. So I'll give you that breakdown definitely tomorrow. I'll send you an email with that information.
I have just two short questions and a compliment. What is a Sterling? There's a Sterling semi.
Which one do you want?
What is a Sterling semi?
Which slide are you on, ma'am?
I'm looking where I found it.
It's under purchasing and warehouse services.
So those we have, if you've seen tractor trailers, and the tractor part of that's a Sterling vehicle. So some of the other vehicles could have a box truck on the back. So those are just the name of the vehicle that they currently have.
Oh, I just thought it was kind of interesting. And also being on the road for over 5 years, being elected, and I'm on the road constantly, I have yet to see anyone, a bus driver, or in your white fleet or your blue fleet, say that fast 3 times, cutting in front of anyone, speeding, driving erratically. no shouting out at windows, and I'm by them all the time. So I want to say thank you for your drivers, because I have always seen them to drive responsibly. A couple times I've honked and waved, and they always waved back, so I thought it was pretty cool.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank you.
they need to realize that, there are a lot of people out there who watch, because you see that Volusia County School sign on the side of the truck, and they represent the school district. And as far as I can tell, from what I've seen in my own personal view, they have demonstrated great discretion in some tough traffic areas. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And like we tell all of our staff, we're removing billboard signs. So very easy to recognize us and very easy to complain. So we need to follow the rules, laws, and regulations.
Yeah, and we also have some of the friendliest people drive the truck, the county truck. They're fabulous people.
Do a great job.
Yeah, really good
Yes,
job.
ma'am.
So
Thank you.
Mr. Persis?
I was wondering, is there any desire, push from the state or from us to look at hybrid electric cars? Anything? I'm sure the state puts out bids for those as well.
We did. So some of those are charging stations. I'm glad you asked, because the new bid that you approved this evening for the yellow fleet, the school buses, they have one out there now that's on bid, and it's 3 times the cost of a regular vehicle, 3 to 1.
For the bus.
For the bus.
Yeah.
So we start looking at vehicles, and what we try to do is evaluate the vehicle, and then what the infrastructure would be back in our end to be able to charge that, and the number of miles that vehicle could travel within a day. So we do look at hybrids, and so we had the Priuses that were hybrids.
Yeah.
So we're starting to look at some of that as well, and I think there's some more coming down the line. But the vehicles we're currently purchasing now are the cheapest on the bid that we went with currently today.
Yeah.
We're not buying any Mercedes.
No.
And I just have one question. So based on our current fleet that we're replacing, are we going to sell these at an auction? What do we do with the fleet?
Ma'am, that's a great question. We sell everything at auction, so we have Gideon's on contract with us, and so once when those vehicles come in, we strip those vehicles of our decals and clean them up, and then we sell them on auction. It can be online auction or in person at Gideon's over in Sanford.
Okay.
And so we try to recoup as much money as we possibly can.
Okay.
You just see the
Yes,
description. Barely used, van,
Highway mileage.
Don't tell our secrets now.
Mileage only.
Yeah.
To extend her comment, could you let us know what our fleet what we received back?
Yes, ma'am. I can
Were
go
we
back
recruited?
the last, let me see how long, been there's 17 years. I can tell you exactly what we sold over the last 17 years and dollar amounts we received. When we get those back, we send that money straight to Deb Muller so she can put it in the appropriate accounts.
For her next year's Christmas list.
That's it. Yeah. She receives all of our checks, so we have that data. I can go back the last 3 years, probably a better picture for us. So I can go back the last 3 years and provide that as well. So I'll provide 2 things for you this evening. That, for what we recouped with all of our sale of our vehicles, and then the one for Ms. Haynes currently with the vehicles that are assigned and which ones are pooled by department.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Superintendent Fritz?
Superintendent, first of all, Greg, I'd like to say thank you for being so concise. Greg has worked on this presentation and presented it to me at least 6 times. So
I'm done.
Thank you for going through and thank you for being concise and meaty. Superintendent recommends the approval to the purchase of the 5 new 2020 Nissan Frontiers, not to exceed a price of $128,935.
You've heard the superintendent recommendation. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor by the sign of aye.
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 Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
We're going to take a 5-minute break and then reconvene. Thank you.
These trucks.
I feel that I create a very different environment. My classroom is full of music and movements, And that's important to me because as a learner, I had a hard time staying engaged until I was in a classroom like that. So for me as a teacher, I try not to disseminate information, but be a facilitator as the students are learning and growing together and collaborating through their experiences.
Josie is helping them succeed every day. She is, every lesson that she does, she's wrapping it back to real life so that they can use it in the future. It's not just something that they'll use this year, they'll use it next.
When you walk in the classroom, you just get that rush of adrenaline, like you're excited to be here, you want to learn. She's done so much for me, and I am so thankful for that.
More than rigorous education or standardized assessments, I want them to know that they are loved and cared about. And if they walk away knowing those things and feeling the pride that I have within them and the confidence that I've helped to establish within them, I'll know that I've done my job in helping creating a better future for them.
I'm Marion Tomlin. I'm a local mom who writes historical fiction for children. I try to create a connection between the reader and his or her community. I have found that telling a little bit of a mystery with our history is compelling. It's irresistible, actually, and it's fun to have the children say they didn't like history until they read my books. And now they not only enjoy visiting the settings they read about, but they'll bring their grandparents, they'll bring their parents, and then they listen to their stories. I spend a lot of time in the classroom grateful for the opportunities that the teachers in Volusia County Schools give me to come in and discuss writing, not only the joys but the frustration. It took me 9 years to create my latest project, and when I have the children count on their fingers back to how old they were 9 years ago, it's a revelation that someone would identify a goal and they would pursue it through all the challenges and all the frustrations. Al Capone had been an actual visitor to the Ormond Hotel back in its heyday. And local legend has it that a briefcase he had brought with him that was filled with cash to purchase property during the Florida land boom went missing. And I have a very important part of the mystery play out in this building right here. Volusia County Schools help prepare me for what I'm doing today by helping me discover strengths, interests, introducing me to interests I didn't know I had through the music programs, through the field trips we took, through the guest speakers that were brought into the classroom. It was a very vibrant, it was a very, and yet very focused experience for me. I loved my time in Volusia County Schools.
It's perfect here. I mean, it's family atmosphere, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I love the kids, they love me. Just love being there too. You good? Blessed to have that honor. I mean, thanks.
Hi, my name is Eric Nason, Sports Medicine Outreach Coordinator for Advent Health. I am so excited about our historic 5-year, $2 million partnership with Volusia County Schools. We are proud to serve as the official healthcare champion of Volusia County Schools as we focus on advancing opportunities through the health academies, decreasing chronic absenteeism, and supporting athlete health and safety within our high school sports programs. Did you know that the knee is the largest joint in the body and one of the most easily injured? It is made up of 4 main components: bones, cartilage, ligaments, and tendons. Each of these structures play a very important role in the stabilization and function of the knee, any of which can be injured. The most common knee injuries include fractures, meniscus tears, sprains and tears of ligaments like your ACL. In many cases, injuries involve more than one structure in the knee. Pain and swelling are the most common signs of a knee injury. In addition, your knee may also catch or lock Most of the time, knee injuries cause instability, the feeling that your knee is giving way. Well, knee injuries can occur from direct trauma, such as in football, or a plant and twist type motion typically found in soccer, or simply the repetitive wear and tear on the joints, such as in running. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, don't delay in having your knee examined by your school's athletic trainer. Most cases can be managed with rest, inflammation control, and rehabilitation. With more severe injuries of the knee, you will need to see an Advent Health orthopedic physician for a more in-depth evaluation, including x-rays and possibly an MRI. For more information about the partnership between Advent Health and Volusia County Schools, please visit the Volusia County Schools webpage.
I'm trying to get blankets for the homeless because I don't want them to freeze.
We asked what he wanted for Christmas, and he came up with only one item on the list, that was to collect blankets to donate for the homeless. It went viral. He's donated, I think it was around 20-some blankets, and then up in Ohio, 25 up there, and we're in the process of collecting more down here.
I asked him what he did over the holiday break. He said, "Oh, I went to Ohio." And I said, "Did you do anything else, anything, above and beyond that for the holidays?" And he's a really humble child, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and he said, "Not really." And I said, "Can you tell me about the blankets?" And you could see a smile go across his face. And, so the administration team started talking to him about his goals, and at that time he wanted to raise several hundred blankets, and we asked if we could help, and he said yes.
If they could donate at least just one blanket, that would be a big help.
We're very proud of Liam here at the school. We're proud of his efforts. We support him 100%.
Be the scapegoat all the time.
Yes. We'll fix it afterwards. Let's huddle up.
Thank you. We're going to reconvene our meeting. Moving on to item 18.03, superintendent's goal. I'll turn that over to our school board attorney.
Thank you, Chairman Wright. Just briefly to put us back all on the same page, as you know, the superintendent's contract requires that the board get together and create an addendum to his employment agreement, setting out the goals that you are establishing for him from the time period February 11, 2020 to August 15, 2020. After a lengthy discussion, I was directed to prepare a document, which I have and is attached. And for those who are listening in, maybe I'll just read it, the goal, because it is only one sentence. It says, the sole goal as established by the board for accomplishment by the superintendent and subject to review for purposes of performance compensation shall be the creation of a strategic plan that has measurable, obtainable, SMART goals with key performance indicators as approved by a majority vote of the school board. That sentence was generated after a review of the audio tape, having listened to all of you, and I hope that you'll find that it accurately reflects what you intended from that discussion.
Okay, colleagues, input, questions, comments? Okay,
Good
we're
to
good
go.
with it? Okay, thank you, Mr. Dorn. So we have this action item. Is there a motion to accept the addendum to the superintendent's employment agreement?
Okay. Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the superintendent's goals as an addendum to his contract for 2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, ayes have it, and the motion is carried. And Superintendent French, you know what your marching orders are.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Moving on to item 1804, approval of job description, Superintendent Fritz.
Ladies and gentlemen, I came to you before and I talked about a new way of doing our work to improve that communication. In many school districts, you have administration and you have teaching and learning, and they serve in different houses. And that creates confusion. It creates chaos for the troops on the front line. And one of the things that I told you that I would do is I would be taking the teaching and learning, the administration supervision, and putting them in one house. And I want to thank the board for approving those assistant superintendents by level for the elementary, middle, and high at our last board meeting. As we go forward today, there are two job descriptions. One is for a director and one is for a coordinator. These positions will help support those efforts to streamline the work that we have to do. And so sharing with you, as we move forward, we did review the pay scales, we did review the levels for the director and the coordinator, and we are in line in Volusia County with the other 4 districts that we looked at. So there will be no adjustments there. They will fall on that scale. But as we go forward with these directors, I want us to keep in mind what that will look like and how they'll support those assistant superintendents. The national research shows that good teaching and learning supervision, the best is about 1 to 8, 1 to 12, in that range, so that a principal and a supervisor are working hand in hand. Our goal going forward will be to able to support that, and so that there will be an assistant superintendent that will lead the charge with several directors. In the high school, we're looking at 1. In the middle school, we're looking at 1. We're looking at 2 in the elementary, and we're looking at 1 to really focus in on those focus schools. And then we're looking at a continuum of service for our content areas. Oftentimes when we fragment areas like ELA, math, and science, we lose something along the way. And so what I'm going to do is advertise for a ELA K-12 coordinator, a math K-12 coordinator, and a science K-12 coordinator, so we can keep the full scope of those content areas in that work, and that person will work with our program specialists and our coaches. And so we'll be bringing those positions forward at a later date once we advertise effectively. But I want you to understand the full picture. And as you know that our first phase of our teaching and learning org chart will be available soon for everybody to see.
Do you want Mr. West?
I just have them here in case you had questions.
Colleagues, do you have any questions? Sure.
So with the addition, and I know that some of these positions are morphed, are we still aiming to be budget neutral?
We're going to be ahead of the curve. We'll actually be having savings.
Thank you.
Okay, so these are just job descriptions, and you could very easily have multiple. Like you're going to have 1 director of curriculum?
No, we're going to have 3 in elementary.
Okay.
1 will be on the focus. area schools, 1 in middle school, and 1 in high school.
Gotcha.
And then there'll be 3 coordinators, 1 for ELA, 1 for math, and 1 for science.
Okay, thank you. This is for primary, secondary. Okay.
Yes, and we'll break those into the houses, the elementary, middle, and the high. Yes.
Mr. Persis.
Thank you. I think this is great, and I think it's going to help our teachers, and of course, that means it'll help our students, and that's what we all want. I just want to make sure that we include always the ESE piece with everything, and so that they're not separate, but they're part of every decision that you're making. If you could speak to that.
There are some, yes, I can speak to that. There are some departments that will report directly to Dr. Balgaman. Dr. Balgaman will be over the assistant superintendents, but there will be some of those departments that will report directly to her. And we actually already did a soft phase rollout for those departments, ESE, EOL, the assessment department, and federal programs and professional learning all report directly to Dr. Balgaman so that she can keep an eye on all of those areas.
Great.
She's got eyes in the back of her head.
She'll need to have eyes in the back.
What about athletics and performance arts, language?
So different specialties will come under, and it'll be very clear when you see the org chart, but certain specialties will come under some of those houses. For example, even though some of the houses will work across all 3 levels, the area of career technical education obviously should be in high school. Athletics will be in high school, even though it'll work with the lower levels. That's the expectation going forward. The nice thing about this is everybody's expected to work together, and that's why it's in the Division of Teaching and Learning. But electives, for example, that'll be in high school.
Okay, and then also what Ms. Albert said earlier about communication. So there's a clear path for communication because teachers need to know who to contact, because a district person will come in and say, you have to recertify. They need to know what the contact person is at the district level.
Absolutely.
And it's all specified, so everybody knows who to
What I had an example today with a coordinator, so I'd like to share this example, and we can kind of relate to where we're at. I had a coordinator come into my office, and we were talking, and she said, paint the picture for me, Dr. Fritz. I said, okay. So right now, how many layers does it take me to get to you? And she gave me some layers. You know, and no fault the way it is, it's just we built the system, right? And I said, well, picture this. Me to the assistant superintendent, and you're on the assistant superintendent's team. So that's 2. Can you say that now? And the answer was absolutely not. And so as we start to look at this, that's where the importance is. And this is the example I use. If I tell a secret to Ms. Wright, and it goes over to Mr. Persis, it's going to be a pure secret. But if we take everybody in this room and we line up, that secret's going to change. But the more layers we put into it.
Ms. Haynes?
Okay, so Ruben already asked my question that we're going to save money or remain neutral. I think, and I appreciate this, and I appreciate, all the job descriptions and how they're very clear, and if you read it, you should know what you're going to be doing. I'm just, since I still can't see what's happening here, because I've had people ask, will these positions or these titles cost more money? And when you look at it, yes, they do, because a level 12 is more than a level 10, and level 10s are more than level 9s and things like that. And I understand the salary schedule because I was a part of it not very long ago. But I guess I want to say help me with, and I support the K-12, ELA, math, and science, but what's it going to look like under maybe just the next layer under that coordinator, or because one coordinator for ELA K-12 can't touch all of our teachers, or...
I can share some examples, what it'll look like. So content area specialists are extremely important. We would all agree that you have to have an ELA, you have to have a math, you have to have a science, right? So when we talk about those layers, underneath of those, there will be a certain number of those specialists by content area. It may not be as many as there are now.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Recommendation?
The superintendent recommends the approval of the job descriptions for Director of Curriculum Instruction and Coordinator for Curriculum Instruction.
You've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion has been properly moved and second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose? Ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Thank you. Do we have any cards for public participation? Okay. If not, moving to board member items, superintendent, attorney. I'll start with Mr. Persis.
I just wanted to say that yesterday I was in St. Petersburg for the Eat Together We Can conference, and just so many people there. It was really well attended by folks from so many districts too. Anyway, it was very good. We have a couple of people from our district were there too. Grace Kellemeyer and Miss Holland was there, and I had never met Miss Holland before. She's a mental health specialist, I guess, because of all the, as we all know, as an educated board, we all know the trials and tribulations LGBTQ plus students go through each and every day. So just a wonderful conference. The second day is actually today, but I left last night after it. I guess one of the big takes that I took from it was that some districts are further ahead with their procedures and policies than others, and obviously, as Ruben and I talked just a minute ago about counties like Dade County and Broward and Palm Beach, the big counties obviously have more students, so they have had to develop these policies and procedures. Now the smaller districts are copying their procedures and policies, and not every word for word, but picking out what they think would work in their districts. My understanding is that our folks have put together something too that they will be in the future presenting to the superintendent and to us. I think it's still in a work in progress because there's new case law every day and it's just new court decisions that affect everything here. But I just found it very, very interesting. And perhaps the most interesting part was a seminar that I went to that was led by transgender students, 3 students and a teacher. And just hearing from them and them asking us questions, and then they put us in groups and role played things, and boy, then it really hits home what they're going through, and how we can help them, and how they're just asking us for our help, for our guidance. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me go, and we'll be hearing more as we begin to do it later on.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Haynes? Nothing?
I am good, but I will say, we talked about the FFEA conference coming up, and I know Ms. Cuthbert and I are going to be, and you're going to be there, and I'm judging again this year, so if somebody wants to help judge the high school oral essays or whatever, I'd love to have some extra help, because they're really good to hear and everything, but I'll be there judging again this year.
Okay.
I'm judging dancing.
Awesome.
My expertise.
Oh, they didn't ask me to judge, they just asked me to bring greetings, so I'm just going to bring greetings. You're just going to bring greetings. Ruben?
I have nothing.
Nothing?
As we come to our usual, don't we have a full-day workshop in June at the end of the school year? We have the last couple of years. I'd like us to look at 2 issues that burden our teachers a great deal, and they're policies about dress code and cell phones. About 10, 11 years ago, we came up with a BYOT, bring your own technology,
And now it's just ballooned. And I think what brought that to the attention was when Mainland had their shutdown, and it was in the paper that the police chief said they had more trouble with parents coming to the school and trying to sort all that out because kids were calling them. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, but I'm also thinking, could it add to a catastrophe? Could it add to problems? So I'm wondering how much access students should have to their cell phones in our schools, how much it's hindering. I'd like to hear from principals maybe to see what are the issues at the campus. Are they a lot of their discipline? Is it a lot of the what are the write-ups? When you have to write up a student, a referral? Yes, thank you. Gosh, I would lose that
It's
verb.
been a while.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while. So what are the referrals? I'm sure it's dress code and the improper use of cell phones. So, and again, this is a burden on the teachers because a lot of times the staff has to enforce it. And it's adding a burden to their daily lives. So I've tried to help alleviate that. And if we have some set policy so it doesn't burden the teachers, I know it's probably, I just would like still to discuss it to see how we can simplify it and make it less burdensome on our staff.
Okay, and we can do that. I think we didn't have one-to-one, and I am a fan of students bringing their technology to school. But now that we're moving one-to-one, it may no longer be needed, but that is a good conversation. I'm not making any comments about the dress code policy. I'm done with dress code. Done with dress code. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Superintendent Fritz, anything?
I think Mr. Cohen has something.
And so with that being said, we left something on the table last year when we were talking about uniforms once again. And so I know we, we're getting to that time of the year again where we didn't make any other decisions because of the timing and the advertising, and we were close to the end of the school year. But I think it's something that we said we would go back in January. Of course, a lot's happened since. We said we'll look at it in October and maybe look at it in January. And so again, a lot's happened with our new superintendent, but probably something worth looking at sooner than later so that we don't run into the time crunch if there's any desire to change it. I know that it almost seemed like there was a desire to change it, so probably worth revisiting sooner rather than later. I can tell you, and I'll go out there and say this, their uniform is definitely not the word. And so far from it. And so, again, probably worth talking about it again.
We can look at our workshops to see what we actually have slated, and then maybe look at that in April, if that's what you all would like to discuss. Okay. So, Superintendent, let's look and see what we have slated for April's workshop.
We actually talked about it today, the June 4th workshop. We don't have anything on there as of yet. We may have to do an update where we're at with the strategic plan, but I can do that quickly at that point, and so we could certainly have some time.
Okay. All righty. Mr. Doran?
I don't have anything, but I would ask that the two of you sit tight for 3 minutes following the meeting. We're going to get some documents signed.
Okay. Superintendent Fritz, anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. If nothing else, I had a great time in Dubai, and we'll talk about it another day. This meeting is adjourned.
Cut that one off.